Welcome to Mind Changes Podcast. I got my boy Shann Atkinson. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good, man. How you doing, my friend? How are you doing?
Oh man, listen, y'all. We late. We had some technical issues. I mean,
Yeah.
we was in here fighting. We fighting these transistors and these
Yeah, man.
capacitors and this program. We was having a bad start to a beautiful day. But anyway,
Yes.
listen, Shann, you got a lot to say today, right?
Yeah, we both got a lot to say today.
Yes, yes, yes. We got an exciting episode coming up now. But listen, we got to go to our commercial. So stay tuned because here we coming back hard.
Mind Changers International, changing lives for the better. Our vision is to be a transformative platform that exposes lies and reveals the truth. Mind Changers International, we on a mission, masking the falsehoods with every new edition. We're here to enlighten your mind with this vibration, expose the lies, speaking truth, normal conversations. Mind Changers International, we on a mission, masking the falsehoods.
Back to Mind Changes Podcast. I'm your host, Lamar Blakney. And listen, y'all know I got my sidekick, no other than the man with the plan, Mr. Shann. And they say, Mr. Shann Atkinson, this is Mr. Shann Atkinson.
I know, right? I know what's going on, man. What's up, everybody? I'm so glad y'all tuned in tonight. Well, we got a show for you. We are doing this podcast by executive order. We had to sign an executive order to do this podcast.
Listen, we had so many technical challenges, and y'all probably gonna see some more before we get off this podcast today. The enemy don't want us coming up here today, Shann, doing nothing, because we've been going through it in the last 30 minutes. Look at that, my stuff freezing up already. But you know what? I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep it going, 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 keep it going. What's up, Shann?
Not a whole lot, man. Just going over, man. Just over the last couple of weeks, man. Well, no, not even weeks, but last 9 days. Just going over these executive orders that have come rolling out of the White House, and man, it's just it does something to your spirit. Just seeing all the cruelty in all these executive orders. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, Shann, it's like this, man. You can't keep God's people down. That's what you can't do. You cannot keep God's people down. Listen. We have some technical issues, y'all, because I'm froze up. I don't know where my camera gonna act right tonight or not. Listen, it's been tough. It's been tough for Mind Changers tonight.
Yes, it has.
Look, I'm still delayed, man, but you know what? We're gonna keep going. It'll catch up.
Yeah, we'll keep going. Yeah, we're going. Yeah, it'll catch up with us.
So, Shann, you got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, man. These executive orders, man. Trump came off firing with these executive orders. I mean, he started immediately. The very first one was the most selfish and vain executive order I think I've ever seen a president write, and it was all about the flags at half staff. I mean, we knew that former President Kennedy had passed, and the way I've always done things is those flags stay at half staff for a certain amount of days, 20 days or something to that effect. And he wrote an entire executive order to get those flags back at full staff during his inauguration, but then turned around after all this celebratory things were over. And okay, now I'm going to put it back to half staff. That one was so vain and so selfish. It just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, Shann, I'm telling you, this is agitating me because I'm so far lagged behind you tonight. I don't even know what to do, y'all, because it's gonna look like I'm answering questions too late.
Okay.
So look like it's catching up a little bit.
Yeah.
I just don't know what's going on. But Shann, so the first executive order was an order 14147, right?
Okay.
Ending the weaponization of the federal government impact is going to have on African Americans and other non-Caucasian ethnic groups. This order aims to curb alleged political misuse of federal agencies by critics. They argue it would weaponize or it would weaken enforcement of civil rights protections. And we have to fight for our civil rights protection.
Absolutely. And not only that, that executive order also is it's a shot from the hip about all the things that he has been going through over the last couple of years with all his court cases and stuff, claiming that he was innocent of everything and that the federal government weaponized themselves against them to get him in jail and to, prevent him from being the president of the United States. So that particular order was meant for one thing and one thing only, to protect him and his followers, I guess you could say.
Yeah, so I'm just checking out sound on Facebook just to see how it sound, y'all. So I'm just kind of looking because I want y'all to have a good show. We want to have a good
Yeah,
show,
absolutely.
and we want to sound good. So I'm just checking out the sound right
Absolutely.
quick, Sean.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, I'll move on to another one.
Okay.
One of the other executive orders that was signed was called the initial rescission of harmful executive orders and actions. And what this does was it pulled back 78 executive orders and memorandums done by the Biden administration. And he claimed that these ones that I'm going to read are harmful to the American people. One of them he rescinded was the advancing racial equality and support of underserved communities through the federal government. How does that hurt American people that you're trying to help people in your community? Another one that they rescinded was organizing and mobilizing the United States government to provide a unified and effective response to combat COVID-19. Do people not realize how many people died from COVID-19? COVID-19
Absolutely.
ravaged this country. I'm not saying we did everything right. By no stretch of the imagination, we did not do everything right. But we can't start rolling back things until we understand how to better do that. And then and then another one he did was preventing and combating discrimination on the basis of gender identity and sexual orientation. To me, that was not needed. And the reason why I say it, because it felt like a punishment. You're punishing a certain individual people just because you don't agree with what they are, who they are, what they believe. I mean, there's no need for executive orders to go out and punish United States citizens just because you probably thought maybe they did not vote for you. I mean, it was crazy.
Well, Sean, it's like this, man. What should we expect, right? With this guy at the pilot seat. What do we expect? Anything different? You know, like
Nothing.
I said, I'm gonna go back to that first order, right? That first order is going to affect communities of color in many ways, right?
Absolutely.
It's going to make it harder to hold institutions accountable, right?
That's right. That's right.
So why is it harmful to our democracy? It is harmful to our democracy, that first executive order. And listen, Sean and I, we did 5 episodes of Project 2025. And we talked about Agenda 47, and then we talked about Project 2025. Some of y'all thought we was talking out the side of our neck.
Exactly.
And he's doing exactly what it was that we spoke of. Exactly. And he's not hesitating. I mean, look at all these Cubans who voted for him. Mr. Donald Trump, our presidente, Donald Trump. And guess what? He's shipping them out.
He is.
This is the most aggressive numbers of executive orders that I've ever seen. And I'm 57 years old. And, you know, I didn't pay attention to them when I was younger. But since Donald Trump came up, now we are more aware of what's going on when it comes to the executive orders. So, Sean, do you have the second executive order that they have? Do you have your stuff in order?
Yeah, well, I have my stuff in order. Another one is coming straight off the cusp of him losing his Twitter account and losing his Facebook account during the when he was during the administration during the January 6th riots. And he did another executive order called Restoring Freedom of Speech and Ending Federal Censorship. And that is just simply because he was upset that he lost his Facebook account, which he's fixing to get back. And I think Meta is going to pay him $25 million in restitution because
listen, cancel my account and give it back to me in a year from now, so I can take that $25 million.
And that's the only reason why he signed it, because how are you going to sign an executive order on freedom of speech when it is in the Constitution. It's redundant. It's a redundant order because we are protected by freedom of speech in the Constitution. But here's the thing: we're
Mm-hmm.
not protected by the consequences in social media. We're protected from the federal government coming and arresting me for what I'm saying, but it does not protect you for the fallout if people don't like what you say. And he needs to read that and understand that.
Well, here's the thing. He wants to put our civil rights in handcuffs.
Oh yeah.
Right now in America, and listen, let me go say this first. Let me put our disclaimer up because we have to put our disclaimer up because we're having a sensitive conversation and we want to make sure we have this conversation right. So I'm gonna put up our disclaimer, okay? All right. The views expressed in the Mind Changers podcast are intended for informational purposes only and do not reflect the opinions of any organization. We aim to foster thoughtful dialogue and do not promote discrimination or misinformation. Listeners' discretion is advised. Now, we got the dirty laundry out the way. So let's go ahead on and have our conversation. And I'm so upset, y'all, that my camera just don't like me today. It's just doing what it wants to do. I had a power cord issue. Yeah, I'm venting. I had to run to Walmart, go get a power cord, and then the power cord I got ain't working. So I guess my computer said, hey, since you ain't gonna give me the right stuff, I ain't gonna give you the right stuff today. But anyway, so go ahead on, Shann, about the finish up what you were saying about that freedom of speech pullback.
Oh yeah, and that's all it was. It was really simple. It was just a matter of he lost his ability to talk in some social media services, and he just decided he was going to whine and sign an executive order behind that whole ordeal.
Yeah. And then, we got the second executive order, Shann, that he signed. 14148, right? And this initial rescission of harmful executive orders and actions. Now, what this is going to impact is going to impact African Americans and other non-Caucasian ethnic groups. This order repeals many past executive orders that was protecting us, right? Potentially rolling back protection for minority groups in areas such as voting rights. This is important. Affirmative action and criminal justice reform. Now, this could lead to an increase in racial disparities in education, employment, policies due to the removal of federal diversity mandates. Why is this harmful, y'all? It affects our democracy, right?
That's right.
Repealing executive orders without transparency or justification reduces trust in our government. I don't trust our government right now, Shann.
Yes, absolutely. I don't trust it either. I don't trust them either. And then we have another one where, and these are kind of just penny ante type executive orders, like return to in-person work, where he no longer wants any remote workers in the federal government. He wants all federal employees to come back to the office. And if you don't come back to the office, then you're without a job. He's going to fire you. And then on top of that, riding right off of that is regulatory freeze pending review. He wants to freeze all regulatory activity where we're overseeing things, because he wants to make sure that anything he does doesn't get reviewed. Anything he does doesn't get scrutinized, because right now, everything he's passing, most of what he's passing is illegal. He's doing stuff that Congress should have something to do with. Now, executive orders and throughout history, a president has the power of executive order without question. But some of these things, and we'll get into more of those as we go along. I might be getting ahead of myself, but some of them are absolutely illegal. So, but he's got to make and Congress, for the most part, is rolling over and not saying anything. They're just allowing them to go through. So, by freezing any regulatory type activity, nobody's going to tell them no. Nobody's going to tell them no.
Yeah, and man, I don't think everything this man is going to do is going to be bad, but the bad is outweighing the good from my perspective. This is just me speaking, y'all. From my perspective, the bad is outweighing the good, and there's so much bad coming down the pipeline. If there is any good, I can't really see it. I don't really see it. Like executive like Executive Order 14151, right? Ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs
Oh
and
yeah.
preferencing.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, do y'all understand what that's going to impact? It's going to
Yes.
impact African Americans, and I'm going to say it
Mm-hmm.
again, and other non-Caucasian ethnic groups.
Mm-hmm.
Eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion programs reduces
Mm-hmm.
opportunities for minorities in education,
Mm-hmm.
employment, government
Yep.
contracts, could
That's
widen
right.
racial wealth and opportunity gaps by removing these federal efforts to counteract systemic discrimination.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, because here's the thing. Everybody just when they hear DEI, they automatically think about a racial type scenario,
Yeah,
but here's the thing. Veterans are wrapped up in DEI.
yeah.
That when a veteran comes out, you give them a special treatment for jobs because you served my country. So I'm going to give you a pretty good job. So
Mhm,
veterans are going to get wrapped up in that. People with disabilities that want to work, that
mhm.
don't want to just sit around on the government's dime. People that don't want to just live off of Social Security. They want to go to work. Well, they need a little bit of help to get some of these jobs that they probably wouldn't have got any other time. So these are cruel. These are cruel and unusual punishments for people that just want to get ahead. And we needed the federal government at the time to help those individuals
Yeah,
get ahead to where they could stand on their own 2 feet sometimes.
yeah. Listen, y'all, if y'all watching by Facebook or YouTube, please, hey, put a comment in here. Let's talk
Yeah.
about this. So
Yes.
I'm gonna go back to that executive order, Sean. So
Okay.
the reason why it's so harmful to our democracy, the DEI program,
Mhm.
it undermines the principles of equal opportunity and
Mhm.
dismantling programs designed to kind of level the playing field. So it
Yes.
reduces minority representation in government
Mhm.
and corporate leadership roles.
That's
Listen,
right.
these people are qualified. These people are educated. These
They
people
are.
earn to be where they are. But because I don't know why he hate these acronyms or this word DEI,
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
drives this man crazy
Yeah.
that he just say, you know what? I'm getting rid of all these
Mhm.
jobs. And now I have a friend, and I ain't gonna say his name. Oh, he told me how great Donald Trump is and
Mhm.
how great he's going to be for the country. He's a DEI hire. Guess what? He
Okay.
no longer has a job.
Mm.
And so when I
I'm sorry to
text him,
hear
he said, "Oh, you trying to make me feel bad?" Absolutely not, because I would
that. Mhm.
never do that to anybody.
Right.
But here's a prime example. You got to follow policies. Now,
Mhm.
I did not like Kamala at all. And there
Right.
was nothing about her I liked.
Okay.
Nothing. Nothing. I wouldn't let her in my house. Nothing. But I felt that she would be less damaging than the former, our current president.
Okay.
That's why I voted for her. I didn't vote for her because I liked her. I voted for
Mhm.
her because I was looking for the one who's going to do the least amount of damage.
Okay.
And it's getting bad, man. It's getting bad, and that DEI
Mhm.
uh breakdown
Mhm.
reduces minority representation, like I said, in government, and
Yeah,
it and it, and
absolutely.
and it affects corporate leadership roles.
That's
So,
right.
now the playing field is back like it was in the 70s. I don't have to hire
No,
you because you black. Now I don't have to
no.
balance out, how many employees I have, how many Hispanic, how
Mhm.
many Mexican, or not Mexican, forgive me, how many Caucasians, how many African Americans. So if we have a civil rights issue, they can't come down on our company.
Yeah.
So now they putting the control back in their hands like it was a long time ago where black men and women could not get viable jobs.
Yeah. And and and
Viable jobs.
And if you look at the climate right now, and if you look at the education structure in this country right now, black women are some of the most educated demographic out there. I mean, these women have masters and double bachelors and double masters and working on doctorates and stuff like that. They
Mhm.
are highly educated. They are primed and ready to take on these jobs, these high profile jobs. They have the education. They're beginning to get the experience. They have a networking like nothing we've ever seen, and
Mhm.
they are primed and ready to take over take over the corporate America. And I think the Heritage Foundation knew this. I think they saw this coming. So they said, we got to do everything we can to make sure that nothing will come down on us in the government at the federal level if we decide that we're not going to hire a black woman or a black man that is highly educated, highly skilled to do a job, and then nothing will come of it. So I
Yeah.
think they saw it coming and they're trying to get ahead of it.
But let me tell you something. These women run rings around us, man.
Mm-hmm.
They run rings around us.
Mm-hmm.
They are some of the best CEOs, some of the
Mm-hmm.
best corporate
They are, man.
CFOs that you can find because of how they think. You
Mm-hmm.
get what I'm saying, Sean?
Exactly.
And we got to give it up to them. They
Mm-hmm.
are quicker on their feet than most of us men.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sean, there's another executive order that I want to talk about is executive order 14156. So I got my notes up, right?
Okay.
Declaring a national energy emergency.
Yes.
Now, this would impact African Americans and non-Caucasian ethnic groups. I have to say it like that to stay out of trouble. Increase
Okay.
domestic energy production, especially in fossil fuel,
Mm-hmm.
and it will disappropriately affect community. I can't how to read my own stuff. Communities of color, which are often located near pollution-heavy industries.
Yes.
Now, this is
Yes.
serious.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
This is serious, right here.
Yeah.
We're talking about people's health, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
It can worsen our environmental racism by
Mm-hmm.
reducing protections for vulnerable minority communities already affected by climate change. I don't know why people don't believe climate change is a problem.
Yeah. I mean, we have evidence. I mean, we just not too long ago, we had no snow in Alaska and snow at the Gulf Coast. Something's changing. Something's
Oh
different.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
they were showing pictures of a harbor in Alaska that looked lush and green, and we saw 5, 6, 7 inches of snow down on the Gulf Coast. So something is definitely changing.
yeah, and
And to
that's
go, and to go off of what you're talking about, this national energy emergency, where it's kind of like it's coined phrase drill baby drill, to where they're just gonna just drill as much oil as they possibly can.
yeah,
Um, and what you're talking about as far as black communities that are heavily polluted, because for so many years, a lot a lot of gentrification was taking place where they were
hmm
moving the black population into zoned areas that were meant for business, zoned areas that was meant for
yeah,
industry, stuff like that. So you had communities that were living on top of oil refineries, on top of factories and stuff
yeah,
like that. And they didn't have the regulatory stuff in place to make sure that these industries weren't polluting these communities. So a lot of stuff over the years has come into play to make sure that does not
yeah,
happen. And they want to roll all that back, and they want to dump radioactive material and dump
hmm
their refinery sludge in the waterways, and they want to do all this stuff because they say we need as much energy as possible, so we got to cut all regulatory stuff in order to get it done.
yeah. And Sean, what makes this executive order so harmful to our
Mhm.
democracy? I'm trying to be politically correct because it favors corporate interests over public health.
Yes, absolutely.
Corporate
And
interest over
yeah.
public health.
Yeah, and that is the cornerstone of this administration right now. It's all about the billionaires. This administration is all about the billionaires.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's going to disappropriately harm
Mhm.
low income communities. Guess what? More minorities are
That's
at
right.
risk. It will weaken our environmental regulations that
Mhm.
ensure clean air and water to
That's right.
every citizen in America. So, when I see, I'm going to go back to something I said
Mhm.
a long time ago. Real power is the ability to make something happen without touching it. When
Okay.
a person can take a pen
Mhm.
and sign something, right?
Yeah.
And put something into action
Mhm.
that will affect thousands of people, one
Right.
signature on a page can affect hundreds and thousands of people.
Yeah.
I just think
Millions of people.
I just think in our society, Shann, when it comes to political sides, Democrats, Republicans, independent, we stand to become prejudiced over our non-party members. We
Right.
don't want to choose them because they ain't in our gang.
That's
You
true.
know, they're not in
That
our
is true.
gang. They ain't part of my set.
Right.
Democrats, Republicans, and independents, we ain't no different than gang members. We all stick
Yeah.
together no matter what. And that's why we cannot choose a president or a candidate that is for the people, because if they don't have think about it, Crips and the Bloods, red and blue. Democrats and Republicans, red and blue. What's the difference, y'all?
Nothing.
What's
Nothing
the difference?
Nothing at all.
Colors.
Exactly.
Remember the movie Colors?
Yeah.
They are gangs just like the Crips and the Bloods.
Absolutely.
No different. And they will stick to a party regardless. They go down in flames with them when you know they're wrong. It doesn't take a genius to know what's right and wrong. And these executive orders, man, it's like it's become the president kumbaya moment. It allows them to get back at the last administration.
Yeah,
Shann,
absolutely.
It allows them to say, now, I'm going to make you look bad because I'm not even going to look at your policies in its totality. I'm going to make you look bad because I'm getting rid of everything you done. Because everything you done was bad. It is to deface, demoralize, and to make the last administration look like nothing they did was right.
Right. Absolutely.
To me, that's what these executive order rituals, because that's what I call them, are. Yeah, the first 100 days, he going to go and sign all these executive orders. Do you not go and look at what's good and what's bad about an order before you just dismantle the whole thing?
Right. No, definitely not. Because some of the things that he's dismantled, there was some good in that. I mean, there was people were benefiting by those executive orders, and it's so funny how you compared Democrats and Republicans to Crips and Bloods. It makes total sense, but sometimes, and I'm not going to try to sit here and say, because I'm a Democrat, and I'm not going to sit here and say that we're perfect. I'm not going to sit here and say we had all the answers. We did not, but we did have compassion. We did have compassion for certain things. We had empathy for certain things. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at this current Republican Party, there's no empathy. There's no compassion. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of rage. There's a lot of harshness, cruelty, even to the point to where they want to see anybody not in their clique. They want to see them suffer. I want to see you suffer because I hated you had rights. I hated you were transgender and there was a right that kept you from getting beat up. I hate seeing you as a successful black man because there were rights there that helped you get above the systemic racism that was taking place in this country.
Yeah.
I hate that you as an immigrant escaped a drug-fueled war that actually the United States helped perpetuate, and you came here to get a better life, to escape the violence. And I hate that you're here, and I want to send you right back, and I hope you die when you get there. That rage and that cruelty is not something you see in the Democratic Party. Are we crazy at times? Yeah, maybe. Do we make crazy decisions at times? Yeah, we probably do. But one thing we are not cruel. We are definitely not cruel.
Yeah, well, I have a different take on the Democratic Party. You might not want to hear it, but
hey,
I have a different take. Our Democratic Party is the reason why we have laws that goes against some people's spiritual, godly beliefs. And I'm trying to say it the right way. Same-sex marriage,
right.
All these different things. Given preference
Yeah.
preferences laws. And I may be saying this wrong. I'm not a politician, but
Mm-hmm.
giving preferences laws. So let's say I wake up and say, "Hey, I'm a dog today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be looked at as a cat no more. I'm a dog.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Hey, let's write a law. Let's write a rule because if he feel like he's a dog, then he should be a dog."
Nobody's writing rules that say you can be a dog.
I'm just listen.
That's
I'm
a bit over
using
the
this
top right
as an
there.
example without
Right.
saying what I want to say.
Right.
So I'm kind of metaphorically
Okay.
masking what I want to say because I love everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Your preference should not be a law. If it's unnatural, it shouldn't be a law. If it's that's just that
I
your
don't know.
preference. Listen to what I'm saying, because
I
I
don't
don't want to
know.
say what I want to say because I don't want to offend nobody.
Okay.
But we're making laws for how people feel now,
Okay.
and I'm trying not to go there. All right.
Mm-hmm.
When we're talking about the community, I'm trying not to go there because I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how a person got where they are.
Right.
I don't know what events took place in their life that caused them to feel and think and believe what they believe.
Well, you have to write laws on how people feel because the Constitution preamble says the right to liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Pursuit of happiness is a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It is framed in the Constitution that you should be able to do whatever it is that makes you feel happy, that
Okay.
makes you feel worthy. And if that means you want to be a transgender, if that means that you want to be homosexual, if that means you want to marry a man, then the government has to allow that. I'm not saying that it is scripturally right. I'm not saying that the Bible condones it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying the Constitution and its framing
Mm-hmm.
was trying to escape the Catholic Church of England and give the people the ability to do what they wanted to do, to live the life they wanted to live without a church that was condemning them, putting them to death,
Mm-hmm.
locking them up and imprisoning them. They were escaping that. So we can't now go and say, now we've got to add religion back to it when the actual framing of that document was to escape that. Now, if we want to come together and we want to say, okay, let's rewrite this and let's add religion to it, let's add, then that's a discussion we can have. But as of right now, the way that document is actually written, it has to separate church and state. It has to, or it will not be the document that was written back then.
Okay. So you got this Caucasian guy who hate
Mhm.
black people
Mhm.
because he feels like he hate black people. There
Right.
should be a rule for him to say what he want to say to you,
Mhm.
do
Mhm.
what he want to do to you because of how he feel.
Mhm. No.
Right.
No.
So
No.
here's the thing.
Mhm.
This is why I have a problem with laws
Mhm.
about how people feel.
Okay. I see
You
what
get
you're
what I'm
saying.
saying?
I see what you're
So
saying.
if we made laws for how everybody feel, man,
Mhm.
we wouldn't be able to walk around here, man. Just like the man to feel like, hey, you know what? I should be able to sleep with a 15-year-old and I'm 35 because that's
Right.
how I feel. So we start
Okay.
making laws based off of people's preferences and feelings. You know,
Mhm.
it can
Well, I see where
be
you're going.
it will
No, I
be damaging to
okay.
society. And I'm not, and hear me, people, hear me.
Mhm.
This is your life. Do what you want to do.
Right.
That's how I feel. Why there have to be a law for it?
Mhm.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, here's the thing. The law, okay. The law is meant to set up to protect your civil liberties and whatever that civil liberty is. Now you were talking about the law of being able, somebody sleeping with a 15-year-old. We have a law in place to make sure that does not happen
Yeah.
because we have all collectively, as as rational thinking human beings, said that that's wrong.
Oh yeah.
That's something
Absolutely
we
wrong.
that's something we just cannot do. Now you're right. There are people out there that would love to do that and would love to see a law like that,
Hmm.
but that will harm. That will actually harm someone if we allow that to happen. Going back to what you were saying as far as a white man hating a black man and can say and do what he wants to with them. Well, on the front side of that, he can say what he wants to. Now, there could definitely be recourse with that
Mm-hmm.
black man that wants to cave his face in for what he is saying,
Mm-hmm.
but he can't just do what he wants to that man. He can say what he wants to, but he can't do what he wants to. So the whole premise behind laws of how you feel, the laws on the back end are what protect people from losing their civil liberties in the process of allow
Mm-hmm.
people life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Now, and I want to say this: I am not against anybody who wants to be with who they want to be with. I'm not against it. Hear me.
Right.
Hear me out. I'm not. I'm talking about creating laws. I'm not
Mhm.
against it at all. You have the will and freedom to do what you want to do in this
Mhm.
earth. That is just your right. Can't nobody
Mhm.
take it from you. And I'm not even going to judge it like that. So I want to be
Mhm.
clear on that. I'm not even going to judge it like that. But we got
Yes.
to be careful creating laws based off of how people feel and their preferences,
Mhm.
because it never works out right for any group of people.
Mhm.
Any group of people. Now, I'm not agreeing with what he's trying to do
Mhm.
with the LGBT community. Make it against the law for them to do this, make them against the law for them to do that. I'm not with
Mhm.
that.
Right.
I'm not with that at all. If that's what they want to do, let them do
Mhm.
it. At
Right.
the end of the day, that's their choice.
That's right.
But when we start making laws like allowing a 14-year-old to become a trans,
Mhm.
that kid ain't old enough to make a decision like that. Not
Well,
as far as I can think.
well, here's the thing.
Mhm.
There's been a big misconception about that. There are no laws that are allowing people to turn
No,
somebody
no, 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 no.
transgender.
I'm not
There,
saying
there
law.
are there is no laws in place that are allowing people to turn transgender. It's what they're doing is just allowing parents to have that discussion with their child if their child feels like they want to be that way. Now that's a whole nother ball of wax. And I truly don't believe that a child should be able to decide whether or not they want to change their gender. I don't,
Yeah,
because things change once they become older.
yeah,
Things that they thought were important at one time may not be important
yeah,
when they get to a certain age.
yeah. So that's
But
what I was talking about, Sean.
it just allows them to have the conversation instead
Yeah,
of making it a crime to have the
yeah.
conversation.
Well, I'm not even talking about the conversation. I'm talking about
Mhm.
the surgery. I should have been more
Right.
clear
Yeah,
about
there's
a young 15-year-old going
I
to
can
have
promise you,
a
I
life-changing surgery.
I can promise you there are no doctors that
Yeah,
are doing surgery on 14-year-old kids. I can promise you that. There's not a single documented case where surgeons are operating on 14-year-old boys or girls to change their gender at all.
yeah. Well,
That's been a big lie and misconception in the MAGA party to enrage their base as saying that we are allowing us Democrats are allowing that to happen. No, we are not. We are
yeah.
not allowing that to happen.
So listen, if you somebody out there and this your preference,
Hmm.
hey, more power to you. I ain't against you, anything like that. But I'm just talking about laws. I'm not talking
Hmm.
about what you decide to do. We're just talking about
Hmm.
laws. So, Sean, we have the executive order establishing and implementing the presidential Department of Government Efficiency, and
Hmm.
I think we just talked about that. Um, he has.
No, actually, we didn't talk about that
We
because
didn't talk about that.
that's the one where he wants Elon Musk to run the
Okay.
financial side of the government. Yeah,
Okay. All right. So I guess we didn't got ahead of ourselves.
yeah, we
So
did not talk about it.
that's going to impact us as well, African Americans and minorities. Streamlining governments may lead to budget cuts in departments that provide crucial services.
Hmm.
Man, this can be social services. This can be
Dude.
food stamps. This can be
Hmm.
all these benefits for minorities, and then ain't just black folks that is having
Mm-mm.
economic issues. It's for
Mm-mm.
anybody, such as
Anybody
housing,
is.
healthcare, education.
Dude,
Man,
this is
this
a
is
rough this is a rough economy. A lot of
that's
people are hurting right now.
Sean. This is going to spark a lot of layoffs in federal
Mhm.
jobs.
Yeah.
Disappropriate. Oh man, I got so many notes, man. I don't even know where to start.
Dude, we could start right here and work our way down. You're
Okay.
taking a bill. You're taking a billionaire. Okay, I want to. Okay, you're taking a billionaire in Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, I don't know. I haven't seen the Forbes list yet, but he's right up there of maybe one or two of the richest men in the world. And you're making the richest man in the world over the federal government, and you're saying, I also want you and your corporation to get us to Mars. You're writing a blank check for Elon Musk
Mm-hmm.
to spend whatever amount of money he wants to spend in order to get to a fictional place that we will never get to. We're not
Yeah.
getting to Mars. That's not going to happen. But we're going to give him so much money for a lie. And what is he going to do? I'm going to cut this service. I'm going to cut this service to make
Yeah.
sure my check gets even bigger. That is stupid. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well, first of all, he ain't never getting to Mars. He ain't never.
No.
Well, man, I don't want me and Shann start fussing right now, but he ain't getting out of his Earth atmosphere. I'm gonna leave it at that. You know, I want y'all to think about this. Your grandmama,
Mhm.
your son or your auntie who has a disability, right? Can't work
Mhm.
because of their
Mhm.
circumstances. This this executive order will affect our seniors. Do you,
Yeah.
Shann, do you know how many seniors we have who don't have children? How many
Yeah.
seniors we have who don't really have anybody? Now,
Mhm.
you're going to cut their Social Security. You're
Yep.
going to cut their governmental benefits. I mean,
Yeah. Stuff they
this,
worked their whole
yeah,
life for.
yeah, and
They
this
worked
is
their
what
whole life for.
made America a beautiful place to be, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Because you had help from the government. Now you want to take this help and reduce it. I
Mhm.
mean, first of all, Elon Musk don't know what it feels like to be hungry. He doesn't know
Never.
what it feels
Yeah.
like to choose between medication and your bills. He doesn't
Yep.
know what it feels like to go to the grocery store and can't get what your stomach desire.
Right.
He don't know nothing about that. Why
He
would
does
you put
not.
a
Neither does
person,
Trump. Neither
yeah,
does Trump, man.
yeah, why would you put a person in that type of position who does not have no empathy, sympathy, or
Mhm.
compassion for anybody who lacks the
Yep.
economic ability to go buy $1 million house? You know,
Yeah.
this this is crazy. And this
It
is
is.
why I love my salvation. At least God came down here to experience how we felt for 33
Yeah.
years.
Yes.
You
That's
know,
true.
he went through worse pain than
Mhm.
99.999% of us will ever
Mhm.
go through,
That's
right?
true. That's true.
Just to lay his life down. So he says, I'm not going to be a hypocrite and be up in heaven. I'm just paraphrasing. I ain't saying that's what God really says. Man,
Yeah.
how you
Yeah.
know what
Right.
God said? I don't know
I
what he
know, right?
said.
I know,
But
right?
I'm
Yeah.
just
That's
saying
yeah.
he came down here to
Mhm.
make a point. He came here to make a point. I
That's right.
love you enough to die for you. I love you
Mhm.
enough to experience what it feels like to be a human.
Mhm.
What it feels like to be a human. So now you're taking
And yes,
people.
yes, that are dehumanizing people. You're
Yeah.
taking people that are dehumanizing people.
Think about it.
Absolutely. Well
Trump,
said. Well said.
Trump and Elon Musk can care
Mhm.
less if a loaf of bread is $1,000.
Mhm.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They
Because
don't care.
they don't have to pay. When you're rich, you don't pay for nothing.
That's right. Now, let's segue into this right here. There was an
Mhm.
executive order. I think I'm going to fast forward a little bit on this
Okay.
particular executive order, but it was the executive order to actually freeze all federal aid. I mean,
Oh
all
yeah.
federal aid.
Yeah.
And it sent this nation into an upheaval in just 24 hours. They were losing their mind. His base was even losing their mind because his base is a lot of people that are on SNAP and food
Mhm.
stamps and Medicaid and all that stuff. And they were even like, oh my God, Trump, what are you doing? I need my benefits. And it was completely unclear as to what was going on. But I want y'all to understand one thing. That is the only executive order that he rolled back. And the only reason why he rolled it back was because it affected his base. If it only affected the people that did not support him, he never would have rolled it back. So that one executive order will tell you right now what he thinks about you. If nothing else he said, nothing else he did, that will tell you exactly what he thinks about you, because he rolled it back only because it affected his base.
Yeah. And the executive order that he put out there for federal student loans. I mean, man, come on. You talking about a dumb country? Take that away from our children or our children's children.
Absolutely.
How are they going to go to college? Is the government going to pay for it?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they halted that, right, Shann? The Supreme Court says
no.
no.
Okay, a federal judge halted it, but that don't mean anything because he's got the judges in his pocket. What he did was he wrote another referendum that halted it. It came off the president's desk. He's the one that halted it.
Wow. Here we go, y'all. Shann and I, we talked for like 5 weeks about Agenda 47, which we are in that process right now.
Yes,
the first 100 days of presidency, what he's going to do. I mean, he is snatching barbers out of the chair. One guy was in New Jersey cutting hair.
Yes, cutting hair.
And I'm not laughing, but he was cutting hair.
Yeah.
And they went and got him. He's been in this country all his life.
Yep.
They went and got him out, deported him. I mean,
that's right.
This ISIS stuff is going to get really bad, people.
Yes.
I mean, it's going to get really bad.
That one was declaring a national emergency at the southern border of the United States. That was a proclamation.
Yeah.
That's rolling into what Lamar's talking about with ICE and whatnot. So,
yeah. So then we got an executive order, Shann, 114. I'm saying 14160, protecting the meaning and value of American citizens, right?
Yeah.
We know what they're going to impact, right? Ending birthright citizenship disappropriately affects immigrants from Latin America, Asian, African Americans, you name it.
Which is illegal because the Constitution specifically states that you have birthright citizenship. You are literally doing something that is illegal, and the Congress isn't even saying a word.
Yeah.
They're watching him circumvent the Constitution of the United States, and they are as quiet as a mouse in a church.
Yeah, and this is going to lead to statelessness for children born to undocumented immigrants. These children has never been to Mexico, never been to Cuba, never been anywhere, and now you're going to put them in a position to be deported to a place they know nothing about.
Nothing about.
That's unhumane. That's evil. That is not American. It's not American. And I'm gonna tell you, this might encourage racial profiling and discrimination against people of color who are assumed to be non-citizens. So somebody can walk down the street and look at somebody's daughter and say, "Hey, where's your green card?" Americans don't have green cards.
It's already happening. It's already happening, and I'll tell you why. Tennessee just introduced a bill that will empower whoever wants to do it. If I wanted to do it, will give me $1,000 for every person I round up. You're turning people in. Tennessee is turning citizens into vigilantes.
Yeah, a lot of people gonna die. And this, Shann, this violated our 14th Amendment, man, which grants birthright citizenship. This undermines the principles of equal protection under the law. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? This clearly violates equal protection under the law. You cannot employ a non-governmental official to do anything that has to be from government. All you doing is creating a war. Excuse me. There will be a civil war in America because they're going to run up on the wrong people. And guess what? Now they are protecting themselves and preparing themselves. They're like, listen, I'll die if I go back. So what you think that's going to mean?
Well, here's the thing. I truly believe, I don't have any proof of this, but I truly believe they would like to see that upheaval, that they would like to see that unrest, because the end goal, here, guys, we are 9 days into this. There's no telling what's coming down the pipe. But I truly believe in my heart that Donald Trump wants to be a dictator. He wants total rule over this country.
Yeah.
And not even have to abide by the Constitution of the United States. And the best way to do that is to create an event to where he has to declare martial law. And in declaring martial law, him as well as the military of the United States will rule this country. And then he won't give it back. He won't give back that rule. He will be completely the dictator of this country.
Well, we talked about that.
We are on the cusp of that, and I don't think people truly believe that can absolutely be an option. Because we're already seeing Congress is laying down to his illegal executive orders. They haven't said a peep. And I can promise you this, if Biden had wrote those same executive orders, Congress would have set Capitol Hill on fire. It's like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But they're allowing him to do that.
Yeah, you know what? I'm agreeing with you that Shann. This is, man, there's so many executive orders. I'm looking at them, man. I don't even know where to begin. I mean, what executive order?
Right. Okay. All right. Well, check this out. Let's go here. Where he pardoned all the January 6th insurrectionists. He pardoned them all, suspended their sentences, communed their sentences, everything. And in just a few days, 2 are dead because one got into a scuffle with a police officer, another got into a scuffle with a legal person that was serving them documents, and another one is on the run for soliciting a minor. And he said these were good, hard, good law-abiding citizens. 2 are already dead, and one's on the run from soliciting a minor.
Listen,
these are criminals. These guys are criminals.
He's responsible for their death because if he left them in jail, they still be alive. You know, man.
And not to mention the craziest one that I can even think of. All right, he communed the sentence, and I forgive me because I don't know the guy's name, but I do know what he's a part of. He was a part of something called Silk Road. Silk Road back in the early 2000s was a website that popped up that sold illegal guns, sold illegal drugs, sold sex slaves, prostitution. It sold everything. It was the black market for where everybody went to do as much illegal stuff as they possibly could.
Yeah.
And he was the creator and operator of this website. They busted the website. They arrested him, put him in jail for life. And he thought it would be a good idea to commune his sentence and let him out of jail. I can't for the life of me even figure out what that one was all about. But I can promise you this, we're gonna see something else behind that pretty soon.
Yeah. Now, if there was African Americans who had stormed the Capitol, it would have been a bloody. It would have been a bloodiest massacre ever. They would have called it the Capitol Hill Massacre. It would have been horrible. I've never seen such white privilege in my life. Before then, people say white privilege. You're like, yeah, okay. I guess a person getting a job. But when you see it at that level, and he said, you know what? They're good people. They love this country. They're good people. They're just so loving people. What?
I know.
Man, when he communed those sentences, he might well let R. Kelly out.
Oh my God, yes.
Might well let R. Kelly out. You might as well let Mr. Bump and Grind out. I'm sure R. Kelly, send that man a letter. He probably let you out, bro.
Yeah. Now let's give Trump a little bit of credit now. Let's do that. We have been beating up on him so bad that and I'm quite sure somebody's watching this and they are foaming at the mouth with us right now. So I'm going to give you a nugget. I'm going to say something that I actually agree with President Trump in one of his executive orders when he deemed the cartel a terrorist organization and trying to eradicate the cartel. I have no issue with trying to figure out a way to bring that criminal entity to a close. None whatsoever. They pumping drugs into this country.
Mhm.
They are killing people left and right. They're the big reason why a lot of people are fleeing Mexico and Colombia and South
Yeah.
America, because they can't live amongst that violence. And the amount of sex slaves that are and women that are being abducted by these people, I got no
Yeah.
problem with that. So kudos, President Trump. I'm cool with that. Go after them, get them all up, round them all up, shut them down, and I will give you your props on that one right there.
Yeah. Well, he got another order that he put out. Hey, listen. To where he's saying, and I know a lot of women gonna disagree with me on this, but we're gonna
Okay.
have this conversation where he's saying that if a man is paying child support, he should be the one claiming the kid. Now,
Yeah.
now I'm a victim
Yeah.
of child support. I don't care what y'all say.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Imagine you losing 30% of your income.
Okay. Ooh.
She doesn't report it as income,
Mm-hmm.
but it's extra income. She don't pay taxes on it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Then you, at the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
can't even get anything back because
Okay.
you got to pay taxes on it, and then you got to pay it.
Okay.
Her income increased
Okay.
tremendously, depending
All
on
right.
what you're paying.
All right.
And then she claims the kid, when really it's proof you are part of it. I think it should be split 50-50.
Okay.
But there's no way to do that when it comes to taxes.
All right.
So
Well-
I don't disagree.
All right.
Let me tell you why I don't disagree wholeheartedly. I have some reservations with it because some guys don't take care of their kids, right?
Mhm.
They don't spend no time with them, do nothing. Some guys don't take care of their children. So
Right.
it could lead to men abusing it. Well,
Mhm.
women has abused that system forever. You don't be with me, I'm gonna take you for child support.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Not because you ain't taking care of the kid, because you ain't with her. Because you
Mhm.
with somebody else. It has been a weapon for a lot of women. It's been a weapon
Okay.
for a lot of women
Okay.
to use child. Child support was like a remote control. I
Okay.
promise you, because I went through it. What you say? I'm about to go down to say something else. I'm going down to
Mhm.
DSS.
Right.
It has been like a remote control from some men. I'm
Right.
not saying all. I'm talking about some men. So
I'm gonna tell you
although
what. I'm gonna tell you what.
Mhm.
This conversation right now, everybody out there watching that, we're gonna have a podcast on this.
Mhm.
So we're gonna have a podcast on this because I completely do disagree with Lamar on this, and
Yeah,
we're gonna
and you have to. You know why? You know why, Shann?
I
You know
completely
why?
disagree with Lamar on this.
You know why?
What's up?
Because you never paid child support.
I know. I
So
agree. I
so
understand that I am sympathetic that I
Mhm.
don't understand what it's like. I promise you that I am sympathetic. But I've got some scenarios and some reasons behind why I disagree with it. Not because I'm not sympathetic, but I think there's some really good points as to why I feel like I disagree with
Mhm.
what you're talking about. But please finish your point. Finish your point.
So there have been men. We know one guy
Mhm.
who killed himself, right?
Okay.
Tootie. Remember Tootie?
Mm-hmm.
At Firestone?
Mm-hmm.
Used to work with us at Farm Plastics.
Right.
This man got on the phone and called him, "Hey, I can't survive. Will y'all help me out? Will y'all just back off of it a little bit so I can
Mm-hmm.
live?" Right?
Okay.
And the man, they wouldn't do it, so he killed himself.
Okay.
They're not responsible for him killing himself, but
Right.
the things that it caused
Mm-hmm.
in families, the
Right.
harm it caused, when two people can't just sit down and come up with an amicable agreement. And I know most men are not going to take care of their kids. I don't
Okay.
care what you do. I don't care what you say. Some of them just
Mhm.
rather pay and go about their business. But you got
Right.
a lot of them out there who take care of their kids. And this
Yeah,
is who
there
I'm
are.
advocating for. I'm not
Right.
advocating for the man who don't take care of his kids. I'm talking
Okay.
about the man who does everything he's supposed to do. He pick
Mhm.
his kid up. He paid child
Mhm.
support for this kid. And now at the end of the year, the mama don't have to claim it as income.
Mhm.
It is income for him. And matter of fact, it hurts his income.
Mhm.
Especially if you go buy a house. Oh, you got this, because it's considered a bill.
Okay.
Now he gets no benefits, and the woman get all the benefits. So it's a thin line with
Mm-hmm.
it. I'm not saying it should be a law, but I am saying there
No.
should be something in place where both parties can benefit. I don't know
Yeah.
if they could even split it like, hey, every other year you claim, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever he spend
Mm-hmm.
is a credit for him.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Credit for
I get what
him.
you're saying. There's logistically, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
And the reason why I tell you it's tough is because I know for a fact there are quite a few men that aren't paying but $50 a month. I know for a fact because I'm dealing with it right now with a couple of my grandchildren.
Yeah, I know
And
what you're
there
talking
is
about. I know a couple guys
and
too.
there is no way on God's green earth that dude paying $50 a month is going to get tax exempt for any of my grandchildren that are living up in my house. I can promise you that.
And that's
So,
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
there'd have to
Because
be a cap. There'd have
there
to be
are
some
the
sort of cap
there
on
are
it.
those kind of men, right? And what they do
Mhm.
is they won't get a job.
Mm.
And because they did not get a job, right, Sean?
Yep.
The courts can only say you're able bodied to make this amount of money because they don't have
Mhm.
anything to measure how much he should pay. And I've seen that
Mhm.
in court. I've seen guys like $50. I'm like, what?
Mhm.
$50
Yep.
a month? You can't even feed a
Right.
cat off of $50
No,
a month.
you can't.
So I understand that part of it,
Right.
but what I'm talking about is not those guys. I'm talking
Right.
about that real stand-up man. No
Okay.
matter what color he is, that stand-up man that is
Mhm.
taking care of their kids, and they are taking care of them, they're picking them up, they're seeing them, they're spending time with them. That's who I'm
Right.
advocating for. I'm not advocating that every man should get this benefit. I'm
Right.
saying is that something should be done
Right.
about
Okay.
how this thing works. You,
Mhm.
you get what I'm saying? There has to
Mhm.
be something. If anything, if I was a man, I'm like, let her pay taxes on what I pay.
All
And I
right.
should not have to pay taxes on child support. She should have
Okay.
to pay taxes because it's income for her.
I got you.
So it's a slippery slope. But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, you have to live it to
Yep.
know what a person who takes care of their kids
That's
go
right.
through when it comes to that.
Okay. Well, it seems like we're getting close to the end of this podcast, so let's fast track right now on what's going on right now as far as this American Airlines plane that
Oh
crashed into
man.
this Black Hawk helicopter, this military Black Hawk helicopter.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely horrendous. The loss of life has been just heartbreaking. I mean, from mothers and fathers to husbands and wives, all the way to an entire United States ice skating team. They were
Yeah, that's
young boys and girls that were training to possibly be the next great Olympic or world champions, and they lost 14 of some of the
wow.
upcoming skating. So my heart goes out to anybody that is
Yeah.
affected to that. My prayers are with you. Um, it's horrible that it happened. Now, with that being said, Trump today decided to make his press conference about this ordeal when he
Mhm.
should have got on national TV and just calmed everybody down. It was his moment to be presidential. It
Yeah.
was his moment to bring unity together, and all he thought to do during this entire time was to blame the previous administration and blame DEI because they said there was unqualified people in the tower that caused this horrendous accident, and there's absolutely no evidence of that whatsoever.
Yeah.
He decided to make this a political event, and there's something I want you to hear, something I want you to know about this whole ordeal. On January 20th, he fired FAA directors, right? January 21st, air traffic and air traffic control hiring was frozen. January 22nd, the Aviation Safety Administration Committee was completely disbanded. In January of 28, he he created a buyout and a forced retirement of all the people that had any kind of experience
Wow.
inside that. He wanted to gut all the experience. And then on January 29th, the first America mid-air collision that has happened in 16 years happened on his watch. He had no evidence to support that there was any unqualified person that was a result of DEI that was hired
Yeah, that's
whatsoever.
crazy.
Told an absolute lie. But those things that I just told you are more evidence that it could absolutely possibly been from his executive orders.
Now, here's the crazy thing, man. If you looked at the video, air traffic controllers had nothing to do with that.
Nothing.
They this helicopter
Dude,
basically,
if you listen to the audio, the controller did an amazing job.
yeah,
It was the 100% pilot's fault that flew into that. Now, and by saying that, please, I'm not blaming the pilot that he did anything intentional. It was a horrible accident,
yeah,
without a question. It was a horrible accident, but it was not what Trump was saying that it was.
yeah,
And it's such a blatant lie. He turned right around tonight and signed an executive order, and all the executive order did was put blame. That's
yeah,
all it did. It
yeah,
didn't help the situation. It ain't gonna fix nothing. He just wanted to ink in presidential document that will forever be on record that it was Biden's fault that it happened.
yeah. And here's the thing: if you look at the video, it was at night. It was dark.
Mhm,
That helicopter had more visual than the plane. They was landing. They
mhm,
was landing, and you could see that it came from the side. So if
mhm.
it's coming at the side, he couldn't really see the plane because it was dark.
Could be.
The
Could
only way
be.
you're gonna see it if you front where you can see all the lights. But
That's
coming to it
possible.
at an angle,
That's a
I
good
don't know
possibility.
if the pilot was in some type of trauma himself. I
Mhm.
mean, out of 3 people in there, nobody saw it. It
Yeah.
happened that fast.
Mhm.
And
Happened
I
like that.
pray for the family.
I
I
do.
mean, all those skaters, whether they were
Mhm.
skaters or not,
Mhm.
somebody lost their life, right?
Yes.
Somebody
Yes.
lost their life. And it disturbed me. I really didn't even want to do this podcast tonight after I saw that
Yeah, I
because
know. I
it
know.
imagine me as a parent waiting for this plane to land because I'm on my way to pick my child up
That's right.
who has a promising career in gymnastics, right?
Dude. So some of those skaters had both parents up there. Entire families were lost. Entire families were lost.
Wow. Because they went with their children.
They went with their children.
This man, this is
Mhm.
it's devastating, man.
Mhm. It is.
We'll never know what happened.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah, and
accident.
here's the thing. You're right, because the president had an opportunity to have a presidential moment, and we'll never know what
Mhm.
happened because he opened up investigation with an outright lie. So at this point, the truth is never gonna make it out. The
Yeah.
truth,
Yeah.
it'll always be conspiracy. From here on out, it will always be conspiracy theory. We'll never know what happened, and it will be a travesty in our history. It'll be an absolute travesty.
Yeah. And you know, Sean, man, I'm just until you said
Mhm.
something about it, I kind of got over the anxiety of it, man. Just
Mhm.
knowing that,
Yeah.
they don't know what hit them.
Mm-mm.
That it was when you, people don't know how heavy a plane is
Oh god,
or
yes, and
one
the
of those
speed or that s
helicopters.
or the speed they're
Yeah,
traveling.
it's like a missile.
Yeah, and all that fuel, all that
Yeah,
aviation fuel that they're sitting on.
it's like a missile.
Yeah.
And honestly, man, I just want to have a moment of prayer for
Mhm.
the families of these individuals, the soldiers who lost their lives, and the
Yes.
people on the planes, stewardess,
Yes. Yes.
pilots. I mean,
Mhm.
all of them had somebody to go home to,
That's right.
and just to see a president take that moment
Mhm.
and make it out of a DEI.
Exactly.
What?
I know. I
And
know.
guess what, Sean? Here's the crazy thing. The people who follow him, yes, it was
I know.
DEI. Yeah,
I know. I
I've
know.
never
Yeah,
in the history of
that was
manipulation,
that was man, that was an ugly time in our history right there.
yeah, to see somebody say something
such a horrendous
so
event,
done.
and you use that to grandstand. You use it to grandstand.
So dumb. So dumb.
Yep.
But listen, let's have a moment of prayer, man.
Yeah, man. Go ahead. Give us one.
Heavenly Father, we come to you in the name of our Lord and Savior, and we thank you for life. Heavenly Father, we pray for the family of those who lost their lives today. We'll never get the answers we need, but is that important? The most important thing is that the pain and the hurt of these individuals be covered by you, God.
Yes.
We ask you to just touch their families. They'll never be the same. We ask you to touch this country. It will never be the same. We ask you to touch the politicians, the president. Father God, we ask you to even touch his heart. We ask you to, there is something in his heart that can be touched. Father God, we ask you in the mighty name of Jesus that you touch that place in his heart where the compassion and where the love is hiding. Because I believe this man has the ability to love something. But I pray for this country, and I pray for the families of those who perish in this crash. And we just ask you, Holy Spirit, that you comfort them in this time. Their lives will never be the same, but give them comfort in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, man.
Amen.
That crash, man. It's just,
But yeah, man. So
it's unfortunate, man.
Yeah. So that wraps up our podcast for tonight, man. We appreciate you coming, sitting with us, listening to us rant and rave tonight. I mean, it wasn't a great topic. It wasn't something that we even want to do. I mean, when we set out to do mind changing podcasts, we really wanted to try to better people's lives with just mind changing ways of thinking and mind changing ways of bringing the best out of you. And right now we're in a dark place. This country is in a dark place. We're not being the best we can be. And so we're just trying to bring to light these things, these cruel things, this cruel administration, these cruel individuals that support that, and just have a little love, man. Have a little empathy. Have a little sympathy for your neighbor, your fellow neighbor. Let's start talking to each other and finding out what it is we need just so that we can exist in this crazy world.
Yeah. And listen, disagreeing ain't against the law. Why do we always feel like we can't disagree? We're not always going to agree. And don't take my disagreement as a prejudice. It's just something I don't agree with. So listen, I'm gonna hit our outro. I really don't even want to hit the outro today, but I'm gonna hit it today because I'm not proud of today. I'm not proud of even the conversation we've had to have today. I'm not proud of much of anything what we had to do today, but it had to be done. We got to have a conversation. If anybody's been offended, that is not our goal. But listen, until next time, love, grace, and peace.
We told y'all we came to expose the lies and reveal the truth. We told y'all we bring in biblical principles of factual truth. We told y'all we came to expose the lies and reveal the truth. We told y'all we bring in biblical principles of factual truth. We told